Thanks for spending probably the nicest night we've had this year inside, or maybe you're on your deck, I'm not sure, but with us to talk a little bit about run defense. So like Dave said, I'm one of the D-line coaches with the Regina Thunder, working alongside Dave and another coach, Gordon McQuarrie. So I'm not sure if he's on here or not, but it's nice to have those two gents on board this year. For the last couple of years, it's just been me. So it's nice to have an extra couple sets of hands. So before we get going, I'm just gonna, say that this is our way of organizing our run defense in a way that works for us, and it's not by any means, the only way. So with that being said, we'll just get going here. So if I can get this going. There we go. So again, just like Dave had mentioned with his pass rush, we really win with effort and relentless aggression. So we do everything that we can possibly do on the D-line to make a play, so straining to make a play. So we want to earn the right to be a pass rusher by stopping the run. So we have to be able to take care of first downs and be able to put the offense in a place where they have to throw the ball, and where most of our D linemen probably want to be is rushing the passer and showing off those pass rush moves that they've been working so hard at over the off season. So again, another thing we want to keep in mind, want to make the backfield uncomfortable, creating a new line of scrimmage with 1 yard knockback. Okay. And we'll get into talking about that a little bit more as we get going. And then putting the O-lineman on a backward track and making the running back change or alter their entry point through the line. So if we can get guys to string, if we can get penetration and string out the running back and allow guys to rally to the ball, that's what we want. So we put a stress on repeated fundamentals and progression of a few main techniques that are going to let us win in the run game. We focus on get off, strike point, or what is referred to as pad level, and foot drive. So the techniques that we're going to kind of talk about tonight are stance, get off, strike, extension, block destruction, tackling, and pursuit. The last two, maybe not as much as the first, few there, just as, we want to talk about direct D-line skills and stopping the run. So we group our primary techniques in our run defense into a 3-stage progression. So an attack phase, a power phase, and an explode phase. Now, this isn't, like I said earlier, the be-all, end-all, the only way to do it. There's multiple different ways. This is just the way that we've chosen to do it over top of, or in conjunction with some discussions we've had with the 3 D-line coaches. So with that, we'll get going here. So first one is our attack phase, which includes our stance, man and ball triggers, get off, and strike. So this one's a fairly big one, and this is where we want to start, right? So lots of D-line men that are coming up nowadays, they don't really understand that there's a difference between a pass stance and a run stance. The run stance is more balanced. Your feet are comfortable underneath your hips and knees, where we want to create those power angles, balanced toe to instep with our feet. Also, we want to kind of have our heels slightly lifted off the ground. Not so much, we want the majority of our foot and majority of our cleats in the ground, so we have lots of surface to push off of. Talking about power angles and flexion. So we want our knees and toes under our hips pointed straight ahead, not having our knees tilted in or out. This results in losing power. Not only that, but it's really slow to get out of our stance. Lots of wasted movement and significantly less power in that. It's just not the way that our body's supposed to align and our muscles are supposed to align. We want our hand down is going to be dependent on scheme. So that's going to be something that you're going to be specifically looking for. Some people maybe are ball hand down, man hand down. It's sometimes it's the same hand, but that's up to you. With that being said, if you're man hand down, your man foot is also going to be down. So your first step is going to be replacing your hand into your offensive lineman that you are assigned to. I'm starting to use more of a sprinter hand placement on the ground. And what I mean by that is more having your thumb and your pointer finger on the ground instead of your whole fingers. It kind of eliminates having to kind of turn your wrist outward, kind of moving and eliminating that extra wasted movement. We want our hand down straight under our eyes. We want our back to be flatter than a pass rush stance. And we want to make sure that our butt does not drop below our shoulders. So what we tell our guys is we shouldn't, when we're doing our pass stance inspection at practice, either before or just at the start of indie time, we shouldn't be able to see the number on your jersey when you are, excuse me, when we come behind, walking behind you. And then we're also talking about may vary your width and alignment to the running back, to loosen up if your running back's away. Talking about football IQ. So if you're a 3 tech and the back is offset on the other side of you, you might want to kind of line up a little bit wider. But if he's on the same side as you, okay, you might narrow it up a little bit. So we're talking about setup for success and then ability align. So when you're ability aligning, you can't sacrifice the integrity of your scheme that you're playing. So again, that's kind of the basics of what we're doing with stance. With our triggers and our vision, so we'll not trigger the cadence as usual with defensive linemen or anybody on the defense. We don't listen to the cadence, right? Our ball trigger, so you must keep both the ball and the man you're assigned to, okay? So when you're keying the ball, we teach our guys to key the back end of the football. So that would be the closest end to the quarterback, right? And the reason behind that is the center has the ability to kind of move that front tip of the football. So, you're maybe more likely to kind of jump and trigger a little bit more when you're keying that tip instead of the back. So as soon as you see that back tip of the ball move, you know that it's go time sort of thing. So, and then man trigger. So you want a more finite focus on snap keys in the run defense because you're responsible for different things. And you want to key the tip of the pad, okay, which means you're keying the outside tip of the near shoulder pad to the man you're assigned to. And the reason for that is what that tip of the pad does at the snap will identify what kind of block you're getting, right? So if you are playing a 3 tech on the left side of the defensive line, you're going to be keying the outside right shoulder pad or tip of the right shoulder of the offensive guard. If that tip comes towards you, you're likely going to get a base block. And what we call, we post that, right? So we take on that base block. Whereas if a tip away with a down or a zone block, right, we're now maybe attacking the hip or the shoulder, depending on whatever your scheme is for that that type of block that your guys are going to see. So we now move into our get off. Okay, so the goal here is our 1 yard knockback, creating that line of scrimmage, where we want to make that running back feel uncomfortable. They don't want to see those big guys on roller skates coming back towards them, right? They want a nice, easy insertion into the line of scrimmage through the whichever hole they're looking to run through. And then again, one thing that we're really trying to hammer home this year, we want to get off the ball with twitch. So we want to be twitchy when we get out of our stance. Okay, we want to really spring out of that run stance. And I know it's going to be, your footwork's going to be a little bit different, but you still want to spring out of it and attack first. So your get off, you must explode out of your stance with that low pad level. Okay, we want to see that triple extension in our ankles, knees, and hips. So more so taking off like that jet plane as opposed to that helicopter, for a lack of a better comparison there. So they're going to be smaller steps. So we've got 6 inch written down, but I've been trying to get away from, harping on guys for not taking a 6 inch step. I want their steps to be small. Okay. And they need to be with their near foot or their man foot towards their assigned offensive lineman. I found the last couple of years when I've harped on, improper footwork, guys were, paralysis by analysis, and they were slow out of their stance and they were thinking too much. So right now we want smaller steps, that dollar bill length, okay, 6 inches. But the key is we want those feet to keep moving, right? So with that leads us into our next point. So the key is to get that second step down with your strike. And, that does a couple of things. It gives you a solid base to take on that base block. Okay. And it also gives you that chance to play with a little bit better leverage and control that offensive lineman. Or, if you maybe get reached, you might be able to fight to regain that leverage. Okay. So again, really quick, choppy steps. Okay. And once those first two are in the ground and we've made contact and we've got hands on that offensive line, we got to keep those feet pounding and moving and gaining ground, going up vertically. So strikes, lots of people call these hots. We ran into some trouble where our DB coach didn't want us to use the tag hot anymore because wanted it, you didn't want any confusion with the DBs. So we changed it to VNS simply as our aiming point, via the neck and outside shoulder of your assigned gap, or the gap that you're assigned to. We have a couple acronym or a couple sayings that we like to talk about our strikes. We want to aim small and miss small, right? So you want to aim small. So if you aim small and you miss, okay, you're still in that good position where if you're just kind of throwing your hands out there and you don't really have any target, you're just going to end up on a full block. And then we want to put, we're putting our hands on these guys to do damage, right? We want to hit these guys hard and we want to cause damage and push them back, okay? Kind of cave in for, you know, you want to cave in their chest a little bit, shock them, and then push them back, okay? The strikes with 2 hands can be with 3 points of contact with your face mask, but we prefer to try and keep as much of the head out of it as possible. So just another little point here. I picked it up from Coach Durazio, and it resonated with me. Between the O-line and the D-line, whoever makes that first meaningful touch is going to win the rep, whether that's, you know, a pass block or a run block, okay? Whoever delivers that first blow, whoever does the most damage first is likely going to win, okay? You want to strike with your palms of the hands, thumbs up, elbows in, okay? Another little tip that I took from his little clinic is turning your elbows in, okay? Kind of brings in more muscles and allows them a little bit more power, okay? We want to strike and finish with hands above the eyes. You know, that's given us a pretty good indicator about our strike point or our pad level. We talked about the outside hand on the via the neck, and then the shoulder, outside hand to that should be inside hand to the via the neck and outside hand to the shoulder and triceps. And then we want to roll our hips through, pinching the penny on the strike to create that power in the blow. So hands, hips, and feet all kind of come together as one, and pinch the penny just as you may have thought. Just imagine having a penny nice between your butt cheeks, and you don't want it to fall. Get your hips rolling through, okay? So this is just an example of what I was talking about with triple extension. So this is the first, this is one of our defensive linemen, Coley Jansen. He's out in the park in Estevan, I think, doing some stats and starts, and he was sending us some videos, and we kind of pulled some stills. So this was his very first, one of the ones that we talked about. Pretty poor. If he were to take off like this against an offensive lineman, I'm guessing he was losing that 10 out of 10 times. Okay, he's got no power in this front leg, his lead leg. Okay, he's got nothing there. His head's down. Okay, his hands are down. Whereas you look at the next one, okay, he's got triple extension in his ankle, okay, hip, and now he's on that more of an incline plane, jet takeoff sort of thing. So just wanted to give you guys a visual of what I was talking about with triple extension, ankles, knees, and hips. So now we're working into our power phase. So when we're working in power, okay, we've already made contact, we've rolled through, we've made meaningful touch. We want to work to extension, declare our hat and hips in the gap. Okay, so still, goal is that 1 yard knockback to own the line of scrimmage. In our extension, we want to roll our hips, work to extension with our arms to create the separation, right? So we want to bench press, and we want those arms to finish, or hands to finish above our eyes. Again, buzzing our feet. Feet cannot get caught in concrete. So we want to lock out our elbows with thumbs up, eyes in the backfield. We tell our guys we want hands on the first level. And then once our extension has been created, our eyes then go to the second level or the running back to figure out where we need to go from there. So must still maintain that solid strike point, pad level. Kind of a target or a saying, that mantra that we have for that is we want to get our eyes to our throat. I've heard hairline to the throat, all that, hairline to chin, whatever works for you. We just got to get, you know, our crown of the head to their chin, whatever works. So as D lineman works to extension in the power phase, so we want to get our hands and hips into that gap so we can kind of declare to our linebackers where our gap responsibility is. Okay, and it's literally driving the bus, right? So if we want to go to the right or to the left, we got to get our hat and our hips in there so the linebackers know where we're going to be. Okay, so then that also gives them the ability to fix us if we are wrong, right? So we want to look to avoid being reached or scooped. Again, if we do get reached or scooped, okay, we got to sink down, drive the alignment so the linebacker knows we're going to stay put. So the linebacker knows that he's got to make us right. Kind of a little simple gap exchange with our linebacker. We don't want them to be jumping back and forth. So kind of going from left to right to left to right. So it's kind of that awkward situation where you're walking down a hallway and you meet the one person, you both go left, you both go right, and nobody knows which way the other one's going to go. So we want them to stay. If they get reach, it's going to happen. Just stay there and press into that offensive lineman. And then you can close and control your gap by pressing that offensive lineman into that adjacent gap where you need to be, help your linebacker buddy out. So this is just a slide to illustrate what I'm talking about with strike point. I found the last few years when we've really struggled with pad level and constantly screaming at the D-line to get their pads lower, showing them film, drawing lines on huddle, right? It's not working. So this year, I'm going to be replacing that with strike point. So I find the coaching point of pad level very vague. It doesn't really talk directly about what goes into maintaining play with proper pad level. It just tells them that they need to get lower, right? So I think strike point gives a more specific picture on why the D-line was not the low man, and it's a missed strike point. So this is just to me. So there's a whole bunch of things that we can look at, right? Our get off. Are we twitchy coming out of our stance? Are we looking to go out and up and not straight standing up? So jet plane versus helicopter. Triple extension in the ankles, knees, and hips. Eyes on target, proper V and S fit, eyes to throat, proper extension on the O-line. And then finishing hands above our eyes is a big one, right? So if we are able to finish with our hands above our eyes, okay, we are going to be in a good place. So just kind of a little bit of rationale behind why I decided to make that switch. And then we've got our explode phase. So this is kind of our last phase, right? We've identified where the running back's going to go, and we need to use our block destruction, get off the block and make a tackle or pursue the sprint. So you must read the play and get hat and hips to the ball. So basically that's talking about, again, going back to our hands on first level, eyes second level, and then just making a play from there, right? After steering the offensive lineman, so once we've declared and put our hat and our hips in our gap, okay, if we have the proper leverage, it's just a simple rip off the block and go and make a tackle. Now, if we don't have leverage, we're going to want to arm over to the other side and off the block, working back to where we were supposed to be, or back to where the running back may be heading, on the other side of our offensive lineman. We want to kind of get away from a push, pull, shed, and rip. So it's kind of that motion where you kind of push the guy up and then shed him down, right? There's lots of moving parts, and it takes a lot of momentum away from your assignment. So we need to teach that better to our players. So we need to practice. We need to rep things in practice when you're exploding off with leverage and without leverage. So when we get into the film here tonight, we're going to talk about, you'll see where we only got to with leverage point. COVID decided to shut us down and work without leverage. So we haven't got that on film quite yet. So many different types of tackles will be made along the line of scrimmage, and they all involve exploding into contact and running the feet through contact and no reaching. So you got to use and teach your athletes or your D linemen or your defensive players, whatever your identified tackling skills are. And then in pursuit, we want to sprint flat down the line and get to the funnel, right? We want to straight down until we can attack that outside hip, the inside hip, or we can come down and be a funnel player and kind of come in for that finish shot there on the ball carrier. And then again, the backside end must stay at depth of the ball for cutback. Okay, so it's just talking about, that's a generic backside end rule, right? We never want to get past the ball, and you can't abandon it because you never know what's going to be coming back towards your side of the football. So just kind of a drill progression, what we're talking about. So a couple of things that we're doing right now, a project is a drill book, drill library, and a tracker. So I'm finding this is something I've been meaning to do for the last couple of years, and now I've got some extra time, with working from home and all that kind of stuff to delve or dive right into this and create that drill book and a drill library and some sort of tracker. The other thing we're going to start doing this year is we're going to start filming Indy. So it's a great way to help build your library as well as coach your players, right? I haven't done that before, and we've started to do that in our winter camps this year. And I feel like that has really shown, it's really helped us improve. It helps me as a coach. I need to coach that better or whatever. And we can really harp on guys for their effort in practice. Especially in Indies, it's kind of a time where some guys maybe decide to take that time off. So couple things that we do for stance. We do pure stance inspections. So it's a run stance versus a pass stance. Okay. And we do that with stance grids. We just line guys up in lines of, you know, however many you got, three or four lines of 3 or 4 guys deep, and just have them get in and out of their stance, in and out of their run stance, in and out of their pass rush stance, taking their first couple steps, shooting their hands, all that kind of stuff. So our get offs, we're going to vary our trigger. Again, snapped ball, that's the snap stick, foot, O-line, coach or O-line trigger. And then, sorry, you're going to have your get off and change of direction, lateral, screen, and draw, right? So that's a pretty generic thing. Strike progression is something that we try to do every day, some variation of it. Earlier in the season, we'll start with a 6-point, you know, and then we'll work to 5-point, 4-point, and then eventually work up to a 2-point. We don't work, you know, 3-point, because that's kind of working our whole ape run progression, all the skills that we just kind of talked about, into one little or one rep per guy sort of thing. So you can use a 7-man sled, you know, with or without hand shields, or other players with or without hand shields, pop-up bags. And then I've been seeing lots of teams using 2x4s, not like the 8-foot pieces, obviously, but like the little cut into, you know, I don't know, 16-inch chunks or foot-long chunks. And one guy just holds it up, and the other guy just shoots his hand, kind of left hand dominant, right hand dominant. It's a great pre-practice thing, and it's something that I'm going to incorporate into our practices this year. Guys are going to have to, you know, before practice, I'm expecting they'll be out with, you know, 5 or 10 strikes to the right, strikes to the left, all that kind of stuff. A tip of the pad drill, okay, react with hands, hips, and feet based on the direction of the tip of the pad. Now, you can do this with a coach, you can do it with a player, you can do it with an offensive lineman. We've been doing some online indie stuff over Zoom, and Coach Jackson's been doing it with those guys on there. It confuses me trying to figure out and remember which way guys are supposed to go, but that's a very unique way to do it, and guys are really responding to that. So, and then we have our ape drill progression. So we do a VNS drill, okay, or attack and strike. Okay, start right at the bare bones, right down to the studs. So we want to aim small, miss small, 2-point stance, and our head doesn't move. These are all drills that we're going to get into here shortly. And then power and explode progression. You're going to start fitted, okay, just work into extension, just the power, and then you're going to work that block destruction where you combine power and our explode phases. And then to kind of wrap it all up, we start from a 3-point stance where we incorporate all of these attack, power, and explode phases into one solid movement. Okay. So some simple
Coach
block
McMann,
recognition.
we do have a couple questions here. If
Okay.
you
Sure.
want to take one, just before we get too far ahead here. Can you explain how the sprinter stance is different than a typical 3-point stance and how it's more efficient?
I'm not more of a sprinter stance. I was talking more like the sprinter's hand placement, or like running a 40 at the combine where guys have that thumb and the index finger right on the line. I'm not sure if that answers the question. I'm not saying you want to run in that sprinter stance to defend the run, not by any means. You know, that's definitely more of a pass rush kind of thing. But I'm more talking about the hand placement right on the ground. Trying to get that hand as close to the 1 yard buffer zone that we can. And then we've got our thumb and then our our pointer finger straight down instead of all of our fingertips in the ground. Just kind of eliminates our hand having to turn, okay, or turn out, instead of it can just come straight up and it's in that strike position more so. So sorry for the confusion there.
No, that's fantastic. Thank you. Another one is, can you explain if the running back is lined up on the opposite side, why would the D lineman adjust their alignment?
So if you're a 3 tech lined up on, and the back is opposite of you, we would want, because likely the back is likely going to take that hand up in front of the quarterback and head towards your side of the ball, right? So we want to give that little bit of width and give ourselves a little bit more of a heads up, or a little bit more of an advantage to play with that gap side leverage a little bit more. So is that, hopefully that makes sense.
Perfect. Thanks, Coach.
All right. So when we are talking block recognition, we want to talk fighting pressure with pressure. So obviously if you're getting somebody coming at you, you got to fight back with that pressure. We've got to utilize 4 eyes. So we've got obviously two in our head that we're going to see with that tip of the pad. And then we kind of try to think that we have 2 eyes in our hands where we can kind of feel what kind of pressure they're trying to give us in terms of a block. Is it straight on base block, or are they trying to kind of turn us a little bit and get their hips and seal us in with a reach block? So again, Ape Tech, we would just post the base block with our proper VNS. So we would take that step with our inside man foot, okay, kind of meet him halfway, okay, and deliver a blow. So again, that's fairly standard across the board. Now down block, this is where you can get some different things happening, right? So you still want to focus on your visual cue. You still need to get some sort of hand on this guard or offensive lineman, whoever it may be. If you're a 3-tech, the guard that's maybe trying to get down onto, work up to the linebacker or something like that. We can't have these guys get a free climb to the second level. Okay, so we want to Ape technique to his near hip. Okay, so that kind of takes out our aiming point away from that VNS to kind of pop in that hip, so he kind of gets off his track a little bit more and slows down and gives our linebacker the more agile player of the two, hopefully a little bit of time to kind of get out of the way. You can have potential scoop from another blocker, okay? And then if it's an end, you got different schemes that you can do or game plan to adjust, right? You can 50-50, you can play ooze, you can heel line, mash, or mesh. And then if it is a down block, right, you want to have your eyes down, down the line and look for pullers, right? So you kind of get hands on hips, okay? And then putting those hands on the hips kind of take your eyes right down the heel line. And then you want to look for that puller coming. If there's no puller, then you can look to your next progression would be to the mesh point. Again, taking on puller, it depends on your schematics and what you guys are doing. You can wrong arm it, you can smash it, whatever you guys like, whatever your decision is to do with that. Our double team. So we really need to stress here that there's obviously a visual cue and then a pressure cue, right? So our visual cue is going to be the guy that we're lined up on. So if I'm playing that 3-tech, okay, my visual cue is going to be the guard, okay? And my pressure cue is going to be the tackle most likely, okay? So we're saying that this is a guard and this is a tackle. All my focus has to go to this guard. The second that I move kind of bouncing back and forth, they're going to get me and I'm going to create all sorts of havoc for other players behind me, okay? So our little catch line for this is hips to heat. So we want to engage the man that we're assigned to, okay? Goals to put them on different levels. So what we want, it's harder for offensive linemen to double team block you when one's, below, behind, or in front. They can't really get there. So they'll just kind of go to the next guy. So we call it hips to heat. We'll engage with your man. You're going to steer, okay, yourself into the gap, putting your butt towards the pressure cue, okay? And then you're going to arm over a rip to the gap. So step to skinny, rip to square. And we've got some clips of that a little bit more if that's not super clear. Again, scoop block, similar to hips to heat versus the double team. So still need to keep all your attention on the visual cue, okay? Or your visual key. So the man you're aligned over. Knock back and drive the man to not let him get to the second level, okay? And we want, again, key here to try and keep them on different levels. So it keeps the linebacker clean. Focus on the scooper if your man climbs, right? So if he does get away, then you now have to focus the guy that is the scoop block or the scooper. All right. So we've got a pull, again, pull or fold. So we're showing a pull here. So you're going to key the stance. So you want to look at the O-line. Is he aligned deeper, indicating a pull? Is he leaning one way or the other? Is he looking one way or the other? Recognize a visual key is pulling and the pressure key is now base blocking you. So treat the pressure key as a base block, still responsible for your gap, and then use block destruction across his face. So now a hypothetical, realistically, right? So if everybody knows that when a pulling guard or offensive lineman is moving, that gap now moves with him, right? So if this was a 3-tech, if this was our nose, okay, our 1-tech, okay, and our guard is pulling here, center's blocking down. So once this guy passes the next lineman, he's now in a different gap. So he needs to get over here into the gap where he's supposed to be assigned to, right? So we can talk about that if we get to it on the film. And then we're going to talk about taking on different pullers. So this is, again, going to be dependent on your scheme or your game plan. So if you get a down block, right, 50-50, ooze, heel line, mash, there's a whole bunch of different things. Okay, down block, eyes down the heel line to the puller and then to the mesh point. Again, taking on the puller, you can wrong arm and spill, shock and smash, all that kind of stuff. It's dependent on what your philosophy is and what you want to do. All right, so that takes us through the PowerPoint. So just want to show you guys a couple of things. This is the drill book that I was talking about. Kind of simple thing. If it decides to load, okay. Just talking a way to organize yourself. I'm finding this is very beneficial to me. So I've kind of had a run defense and then a separate one for a pass defense. So just talking about our different phases again. So in our attack phase, just a list of all the skills that we have. And then out of here, you know, we've got our stance, ball get-offs, our BGO strikes, and then our attack progression out of our ape. So just a simple stance. Oh, that's not the one that's drawn up. Here we go. So again, just to set up equipment, technique, and fundamental and coaching points. I just came across something today is another column I'm going to add is the why. Why do you do this? And why do you do it the way you do it? You know, right? So we want our D linemen to be able to change direction, get off the ball, okay? And they also need to be able to change direction and chase after and pursue down the line. So something very simple like this, you have it all there laid out for you. So if you're, you know, if you're away or something like that, or you're one of your coaches, I need a drill, it's in the drill book, okay? There's a tip of the pad drill in here. So this is the tip of the pad drill that I was talking about. So you basically just have a coach here, okay? One in right-handed stance D lineman, one left-handed stance D lineman. So if the coach steps to this guy, he's gonna post it. So this would be a base block. And this defensive lineman would take this as a down block. So he would now focus on popping the hip. Okay, so simple. And if it were to come this way, this guy would base and this guy would pop the hip. So just something simple. We don't have any film on this yet, but it's the best I could do and drawn using my technological skills, which aren't very, very good. And then this is another thing that I found is very beneficial to me. I sat down and you know, Coach McCauley wanted us to put these traits together of what we look for in defensive linemen. So first of all, I wanted to start off in like, what am I looking for in a physical trait and attribute from some potential defensive lineman? I wanted to be tall, athletic, whatever it may be, and then mental, right? So, you know, they need to be tough. They need to have effort, aggression, and they need to have a little bit of nasty, right? They need to be smart. These last couple, dependable. Can we trust you to play in our system? Okay. Are you coachable? Are you a yeah, but coach guy? Or are you a yeah, but guy, right? Where were you? Well, why did you do that? Yeah, but coach, I saw this, right? So that's what I mean by the coachable piece. So just kind of broke it down and you know, especially right now, this is beneficial if we're not able to have spring camp, right? We have these kind of positional traits that we're looking for and just trying to find guys that fit the mold of what we're looking for, sort of thing. So yeah, with that, we'll just jump into some film. Okay, so a couple of things. First, we just got some drill work stuff. So this is just our basic get off drills. This is from our camp. So before we start, we always want to make sure that these guys are in proper stances, right? So they all should be in left hand and right hand. So I've told them all to be in a left-handed stance, so then we can all watch it. I've got I think it's Coach Gord. He's back here somewhere. He's going to give these guys a change of direction. You know, after their first couple steps are in the ground, then he's going to point them left or right, and then they're going to chase down the line as if they were pursuing a tackle. So we want lots of these guys. So one out of the three guys shoots their hands, and they all stand straight up, right? So the benefit of this, going through, if I were to do this again, I would try and have the have a camera if it's available on the side view. So these guys can see, are they attaining that triple extension? Are they coming off the ball low like a jet plane? You know, I find that kind of like a childish way to explain it, but it's simple to these guys, and it's the best way for me. So I want to see these guys, all their arms go straight back, okay? They go all back. So he's got two hands here. His elbows are out, okay? Straight back. I want to see hands shooting out, okay? Hands need to be shooting out, okay? And then again, effort, right? It's an effort thing. is that as hard as you would pursue down the line in a game, right? So it's something that's on us as coaches. I can't really see that, but we got to coach better and we got to be better with that. So again, he doesn't know what's going on. We got hands down, right? He's maybe a little bit more triple extended. Sorry, not hands down, head down. Okay. We've got some karate stuff happening over here. I'm not really sure what that is. Okay. And then you'll see he actually, I think he uses his hands as momentum to kind of turn his body. He's kind of doing the wax on, wax off thing all the way through. I'm not really sure what that is, but again, shooting hands, coming out low. He's got to get his head up. Okay. He's standing straight up, all that kind of stuff. So just simple things. Some things that you can do. Again, you can put something at their feet. So they got to step over top, right? And change direction. Or you can, you can just go on ball trigger or a go trigger, or you can race or whatever you want to do. I know racing maybe is a little bit more for the pass, but still something to get them kind of coming off and working on that twitch. Are there any more questions, Dave? Before I keep going?
Yeah, Coach, we got a couple questions here.
Okay.
One's asking about if you're focusing on the VNS off the ball, when do you switch to hands on the hips?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's something that you would have to practice it, I guess. Yeah, my answer to that is immediately as you see that tip of the pad going away, at least trying to get one hand on the hip. It's harder. It's easier said than done. I know last year we talked about guys trying to get even just denting the shoulder, right? Getting that outside shoulder, just kind of getting them to turn that shoulder as much as you can. We try to drill that. We run a block recognition drill where these guys try to get on that hip. Okay. It's just, I guess a short answer would be it's really hard to do. And I think as immediately as soon as you can, as soon as you recognize that hip's going away, try to get something on that hip to slow down and alter that path of that offensive lineman.
And another one here is asking, what is the benefit of using the 2x4 for hand strike drills?
It's, I think it goes back to that aim small, miss small. So your target's really small and it kind of increases that the accuracy in which your hand strikes. And it's something small, easy. And it's something that you really have to focus you're training your eyes as well, to kind of focus in on your target. It's not a big body with shoulder pads on. Excuse me. So yeah, something that's small and it kind of works, training your eyes, and also it's a small target and you want to train your accuracy of your hands and accuracy of your strikes.
Perfect. And one more here is asking, why do you prefer ball triggers on rundowns as opposed to man triggers?
That's a good question. I mean, it's kind of you kind of want to do a little bit of both, right? You kind of got to watch the ball as well as the man. So, I mean, I wouldn't say we're specifically a ball trigger kind of guy or kind of team, or I'm a ball trigger kind of coach, but I mean, that's kind of what we're taught to move on is the football, right? So we teach them to kind of glance down at the football and then as well as glance back up at the man, kind of in and out, kind of keying both as your pre-read, your pre-snap read, I guess.
Perfect. Thanks, Coach.
Yeah. All right. So I think there's just one more here. I can't remember. I might skip through. So this one was much better for our number 90 here. He had his head up and he was able to figure out where he needs to go. Again, standing straight up. None of these guys are shooting their hands really. Okay. And they're just running straight up the field, right? We want them to shoot the hands. Okay. And we maybe to run this drill again, we would have that coach giving them the call one way or the other a little bit quicker. Okay, so just a 6-point drill. I'm sure every single defensive lineman has done this drill at some point in their career. Okay, the film of this is kind of hard to focus because it kind of scans across. But long story short, we want these guys sitting back on their heels. We want them to flip their toes underneath, pinch that penny. Okay, we've got these guys kind of holding the bag sideways. This is at our indoor camp. We didn't have a lot of accessible equipment, pop-ups and sleds and all that kind of stuff. So we made work with what we had. Okay. We want to finish hands above our eyes, right? So number 57 on the end here does a fairly decent job. Okay. He's got his hands above his eyes. okay, as compared to his buddy here. Both guys have kind of rolled their hips through, but his hands are parallel, right? So his helmet is actually higher than this guy here. He's got hands above eyes, and he's able to maintain that proper strike point going through the rep, okay? Again, we've got this young fella down here. So he doesn't roll his hips through, okay? I know this is hard to see. I'm just gonna go to, it might be on the next one here. This guy right here, okay, he doesn't roll his hips through. He's still learning. This guy came all the way down from Orange, I believe. So played football for a couple of years, okay? And again, working that hips through. He's starting to get it, okay? We want guys to finish like this guy here on the end. His hips have rolled all the way through. He's not getting any help from his partner, keeping him off the ground, okay? But he is now falling forward. He's got nothing to hold him back, okay? Again, he's rolled his hips all the way through, hands above eyes. Okay, and then from there, we'll go to a 4-point. We could actually go from, well, back up, we don't let me film, but we could talk about a 5-point strike, okay, where you would literally have your one hand up, kind of like you would your offhand ready to strike if you were in a regular 3-point stance. And then that way you're really coming up and shooting one hand. Now with these strikes, we're focusing, or we're showing a power focus. You can really work the speed at which you strike with these as well. So you can kind of get guys to go on their own time and do, I need 5 4-point strikes as fast as you can go, right? So they would go on their own time, okay? They would strike and reload as fast as they can, okay? So this is a little bit better angle here, okay? So he's got hips are all rolled all the way through, okay? This is a pretty good one here. His hands are above the eyes, maintaining, you know, a good strike point, okay? He can roll his hips through. He's got to pinch that penny to get his hips sunk and rolled through, okay? His hands are in a little bit better position here, okay? These hands might be a little bit too high, right? He's not gonna be able to see anything, right? So we got to really focus on that as well, bringing that at the, we don't want him above our head, okay? You know, we're saying above our, we don't want him over top of our head, okay? Like this, where we're blocking our view, but it's better than what he had before, okay? So now they would just sit back on their haunches. Now they're going 4-point. We've got a guy here, he's not rolling his hips through. So he's got to pinch that penny, pinch his butt cheeks together to get those hips to roll through. So breaking it down to the studs of this skill, okay? We're going to talk about rolling the hips through, the most important part, most important part, okay? So we're now moving into our 8 progression stuff. So now we are getting into just our tack phase. So in this phase alone, we're just working that VNS placement. We don't want to see their head move too much, okay? We want them to really focus on having their eyes on target, okay? Focus on where they're going to aim, where they're aiming, so they can aim small, miss small, and they still want to deliver that solid blow, right? Via the S, outside tip of the shoulder, okay? So they're just kind of going on their own time, I think, or maybe they're giving, I can't remember if we're giving them a call here, but you can do either one. You can have them go on their own, or you can give them a set go call, okay? That's totally your call. So we want to keep their head stationary, focusing on training those eyes, okay, to see what we're hitting, and our eyes are on target. So now we're working into power. So now we've kind of gone through our attack. We start them fitted to emulate that we've attacked, come out of our stance. We've taken the proper step, okay? So these guys we would want them with their near foot forward. So if they're on the right side, which they are here, okay, they would have their left foot forward, okay? That's the foot they stepped with, or their power foot, okay? Going forward, and then on the call now, they're just working from that hands-on, okay, from having their arms flexed to working to extension, okay? So here, and then they're gonna sit down, okay? So this is a pretty good spot to be back over here. I'll let it play through one more time, okay? Slowly it gets there, okay? So this big fella here does a fairly decent job, okay? We're just working here, okay? And we wanna finish with our butts low, okay? Pushing the offensive lineman away from us and away from our gap, okay? Make sure you do both sides, okay? This guy here is in a good low position via the neck, S of the shoulder, outside part of the shoulder, okay? And the one thing I want to focus on here, really focus on not getting your shoulders turned. We don't want to get vertical like this here, okay? We want to stay square. This is okay because we can work, this is easier to work back to horizontal or rip to square than this is here. So if we were to try to rip to square and the running back was coming out this way, right, we might be that half a second, split second too late. Okay, so we want to really focus on trying to keep our shoulders as square as possible and not going almost perpendicular. So now we're combining the power and our explode phase. Okay, so we've got our working our power to work into extension, and now we're just bringing in our block destruction. Okay, 2 or 3 hard steps. We want to rip underneath because we've got leverage on this guy right now. So we're saying that we've got this fellow here is playing this gap on this shoulder, and this guy is, or number 90 here is playing this gap here on this offensive lineman. Both guys can rip because we've got the leverage. Okay, if we were to come back here, if this is where we were and our gap was on this side, okay, we would have to go arm over and work to this, back over to this side here, right? Does that, hopefully that makes sense and gives you a little bit clearer picture of what I was talking about earlier, okay? So I kind of fly through this. I want to get to some game stuff. So here's our all together. Now this is the very first time these guys had did it, all as one. So it was kind of sloppy, not super great, okay? But you back them up into a 3-point stance, okay? You're putting all 3 phases together, okay? So on set hit, we've got too many guys here going a ball trigger, right? And we want to focus on attacking, taking that good first step, getting our hands on, rolling our hips, working extension, and then our block destruction or explode, okay? So here, and then, so we want to get to, let me fast forward here. Maybe slow down. So we get to here, right? Pad level should be lower. So this coaching point to this guy would be you missed your strike point, right? So he either didn't have triple extension coming out because he's square up. He took 1 6-inch step and he's taller than the dummy here. I know it's real blurry, but it's the best I can do, okay? And then from here, we would rip underneath, a quick condensed rip, right? We don't want to kind of lock and load like this guy does here, right? He brings it back and lock and load, right? He should be ripped through already, okay? And then we want to kind of settle down to the hips, or sorry, to the heels of the offensive lineman. Go through this here. So this is our double team drill, our hips to heat drill. We do this with every single one of our defensive linemen and tackles. So what we will do, this isn't the best film vantage point. We need to work on our cameraman here. So we'll just focus on this group here because it's right in front of us. So we start the drill fitted up, right? So this guy can get nice and snug. So this is his pressure cue, or sorry, his visual cue. This is the man he's lined up on. So you can do this drill a couple ways. You can start it when I say on a go call, or you can start it when this player here, your pressure player, puts hands on this guy. Okay, so if you're doing it, we were doing it the hands, the pressure cue starts the drill. Okay, although he started early. Okay, you want hips to heat. Okay, and then you're going to rip through the square, which he doesn't do. Okay, I think this is the better one up here in this top right corner. I know there's lots happening here. So starts, and then he steers himself in. Okay, so he starts fitted. Okay, we've attacked. We're kind of in that power phase right now. Okay, so he's steering the bus. He's driving it good. He's in the gap. He's defeated it. He's split the double team. Okay, and he rips underneath. Okay, this big fella here does also a good job here in the middle. Red jersey. This internet's gonna let me go here. Okay, so he started fitted. Okay, pressure cue comes, moves his feet, steers the bus, and splits the double team. Okay, so we'll do this probably once or twice a week, especially with our inside guys. Okay, edge guys maybe once a week. All right, so we're into some game film here. So this is I want to focus on this. So he would be our right defensive end. Okay, this is a kid coming right out of high school, right out of Luther. This is from our first camp. So he's just, the reason I put this clip in here, he just based on our scheme we were running here, he was shaded. We call him a 5I according to our numbering system, which may be different than what some other teams are using. But so that's where he is. His job is that tackle, right? And this is kind of, I want to show what we want. So he gets great knockback here. Okay, he gets off the ball. His first step's not real great. Okay, so he's got his man hand down. It's kind of more of a lateral, so we want it more vertical. Okay, more of a power step. Okay, but he's all right here, wide base. He's got good extension, and now he's actually controlling this guy with one arm, right? Which is what we want to see. Okay, so he's in a good spot. Great strike point. His helmet is at his eyes are at the throat. Okay, hands are on first level, eyes are on second level. Okay. I would just like to see him come off the block a little bit earlier and go and get that football, right? So I just wanted to show that's kind of what we're talking about in an ideal run fit based on what your gap assignment is or your your man assignment would be, okay? Another guy, another one here, the same right defensive end, okay? He's working that, excuse me, another really solid run fit, okay? So he's got the double team here, right? So he's starting to think hips to heat. I would like to see him think, oh, I feel that pressure. Now I should start to spin, or sorry, not spin, steer into that hips to heat technique, okay? But he doesn't. Anyway, he comes off the ball and he's still in a decent spot to make a play, okay? So he's got a decent run fit. He's got hands above eyes, okay? His hat's lower than the other guy's hat, so he's got good strike point. His feet are going, base is a little narrow, but his hands are on first level, eyes are second level, okay? And again, just a better explode, see the ball, get the ball sort of thing. All right, so we're looking here. I always like to watch the side. Okay, we kind of see how our alignment. First thing, if you're not aligned up properly, you're not going to be successful. We're to give up that yard. So we've got a yard and a half here, right? So we want to be able to have, we want to get that credit card alignment right on that 1 yard line here, right? We want the width of a credit card between our fingers and our face mask and that yard. We really want to push the envelope, get as close as we can. Okay, so we've got a good, so we've got a decent get off here. Okay, from our players, from our D line. Okay, lots of stuff happening. It's tough. I watched the side view just to see that get off in the pad level and the triple extension. Okay, we've got maybe a little bit of catching happening here. Okay, this is guy's getting a down block, so we'd like him to attack this tackle a little bit more. Okay. And then at the top of the screen here, we're catching. We're not attacking, we're catching. So I just want to flip to the end cut here. So we're going to focus here. So he's exploding. So I want you to watch his second step is the step that gets him in trouble here. So if we were to back it up, okay, his first step's pretty good. It's at that tackle, okay, but his second step is now in that B gap. So now technically we've got two guys in the same gap, but he uses his explode technique, okay, and corrects himself, okay? Shows his color up the field. There's holding happening here, okay? And he's makes this guy bubble. Now, this play would have been much better had our I think he was our halfback here, take a better angle, not that inside step, okay? Focusing on near hip, okay? And it would have been a gain or no gain or maybe even a loss, but it turns into a positive gain. But not the point where we're watching. We want to see using that explode with steering to get back into that proper gap alignment. Okay, so he's steered the bus. Okay, this guy's big. He's probably like 6'5". He's a big dude, so it takes a lot to move a man to that size. Same thing. So we're looking at number 95. So we're talking about hands first level, eyes second level here. So he does a quick arm over. Again, perfect world. He makes the tackle here. Okay. He's got the arm, sorry, didn't pause it quick enough. Okay, pretty good get off. Pad level's really high, okay, but he's got his hands first level, eyes second level, okay, but dips his head when he goes to make a tackle, right? So we want to get the hands first level, eyes second level, okay? So he uses that arm over technique to shed the block and alter that, make that running back a little bit more uncomfortable. This one is better from the end cut, so we'll just go right there. So again, working here on number 95, we're focusing on our edge play here first, okay? So again, not the best first couple steps, right? More of a catching, not real twitchy getting off the ball, okay? He takes a really weird lateral first step, okay? And then a really wide, but he's in a decent position, and he's got his hands first level, eyes second level, right? He's got hands above eyes. He's got control of this tackle. He's looking, and he rips underneath and rips underneath and makes a tackle against the Hilltops there. So that was a big play for us. All right, another edge player. So same guy. Okay. So we're looking at knockback here. Again, first steps. Okay. Sorry. Okay, he's got knockback here. You can see it from the end or from the side cut. Okay, he stops this guy's momentum and he's actually pushing him back. That's what we want to talk about. Make this back uncomfortable. He wants that outside hip of the tackle. Okay, but now we want to make him belly it back into the beast. Right, so he comes back underneath. Okay, and right into, bounces off for a few more yards. But again, we want to make that tackle for a short gain or no gain. Right, so we want that knockback as our end goal. Okay, hands above eyes. Okay, block destruction, and get off the block. So you get a pretty good view of it here. So he's this end right here, okay? So he gets off the ball, maybe very slowly, okay? So now he's got good knockback. Again, he was on the wrong half to start with, okay? And again, I would be willing to bet it was his second step that got him there, okay? Steered it, and now he's playing with good eyes and turned it back into the belly of the beast, okay? So, all right, so now we're moving into more of our inside guys, our 3 techs and our 1 tech. So we are focusing on number 93, and he is, I believe he's right there, okay? We're talking about ape technique to a tackle. You can't really see it from that point or that view, but he's playing nose tackling with our 1 tech right now, okay? So he gets off the ball, okay? He's got a good triple extension. His stance is something that we want to talk about. We'll show you from the end cut, okay? But he delivers a solid contact, does a lot of damage with his strike, okay? Hands first level, eyes second level, and falls off to make a tackle. So we would just call it ape to tackle. So he's right here, okay? Just talking about stances for a bit. So his butt is below his back, okay? Okay, or it's sunken down, okay? And then we've got our 3 tech out here. We've got knees out. So we're getting something that we need to work on with both these guys. Well, he's gone on, but we'll work on with this number 97 right here. This here to get his stance to where it needs to be, okay? So we've got him in here, good contact, okay? Rips off, makes a tackle for a very short gain, okay? So that's what we want to see. Off the ball, control the alignment, hands first level, eye second level, rip off, block destruct off of the alignment, and make a tackle. Okay, so this is number 97. What time is it here? 8 o'clock. Okay, we won't split. So again, we can kind of see his stance we need to work on it, right? So we really need to get his feet more underneath his hips, okay? And we need to work on bringing his butt up, okay? So he was a wrestler, so I'm trying to think that this is maybe more of a wrestling stance, maybe what he's used to, okay, being in that position, okay, that kind of stance on the mat. Okay, so he does it, again, pretty good first step. Okay, delivers the blow, okay, and then comes off in to make a tackle. Sorry, it was number 93, not number 97. But again, we'll watch him. So here, both guys, he's in a pretty good position here. He just needs to work to extension. Okay, he's in a pretty good position here. He's got hands first level, eyes second level. Okay, and he apes to make a tackle. Okay, which is what we want to see. Okay, so both those guys were in good spots. All right, I'm just going to go right to the end cut here. Speed this up a little bit. So number 97, you can really see it here when we need the importance of having a proper stance, right? We need to get, you can kind of see his knees are probably like 6 inches from the ground, okay? We need to bring those, and you can see his heel is really far off the ground. He doesn't have a lot of cleat in the ground right now. And when he gets out of his stance, you can kind of see he has to rock himself to get out, okay? We're going to work to eliminate that this year, okay? But he still beats this alignment, okay? He steers with making a good contact and then steering into hips into his gap, okay? Hands first level, eyes second level, makes a tackle, okay? So we can be even more efficient with our movements if we're in that proper stance, right? Our muscles are not, we want our muscles to be able to move the best they can, and we need them to be underneath each other, right? Knees over top of your ankles and or your knees over top underneath your hips, okay? 93, okay? I'm just gonna go right to the end cut here, kind of speed this along a little bit. So he's here playing 1 tech again, okay? And we're also gonna see some hips to heat here from our 3 tech, okay? So we'll start here with number 93, okay? Carson Bell, okay? Now, he takes a lateral first step, right? This is one of his bad habits, okay? He takes a lateral step, giving away all the advantage he has based on his alignment with this offensive guard. So he takes a lateral step, okay, into him, okay, where if his foot was right here, okay, he would be in a much better position, okay? but he's still, just based on technique, okay, he is able to beat that offensive lineman for another tackle. So again, the importance of the small things, right? Stance, first step, okay, all that kind of stuff is important. So now you can really see the stance here. We got to work on him, okay? Get his feet pointed straight ahead, maybe widen him out a little bit, okay, and get his feet underneath him a little bit more. Okay, so he's working the double team here. Okay, so he's starting to turn his hips to heat right in there. So that's an awful position to be in, right? It's no fun getting beat up by two guys, but he's doing a pretty good job of it right there. Keeps our Mac backer free, okay, to scrape over and play that help on the tackle. Okay, so that's a great job. We get a double. We want to keep those both those offensive linemen locked as long as we can. Okay, so number 97 again, right here. Okay. He's going to work his ape technique again to another tackle, right? So he, again, pretty good step. His hands are ready to go. Okay, he's up. He's strong as an ox, okay? And he was in the gap, made the running back uncomfortable and had to maybe try and force it somewhere where he didn't want to go, okay? So just showing that color and getting that knockback really makes these little guys uncomfortable and wants to scramble and find a new spot, okay? Let's see here. Okay, again, 97 takes on his base block, okay? So our number 93 here, a couple of things on this one. So we'll start with 97. He takes on that base block, okay? Again, misses his strike point, okay? But he's in that proper ape technique, okay? And he's responsible for this spot. And I would say he's kind of, got that under control. Now here, at our one tech, he again takes a lateral step, okay? And all that lateral step does is give this guy the proper path to get him, or a little bit more advantage to reach him, which ends up happening here. Again, not the end of the world, okay? But just do it. You can use the offensive lineman, just like he does here, to close down that gap. He actually puts him into the tailback, okay? Which actually probably makes the tackle, which is nice, right? So yeah, if your guys are reach, it's going to happen, right? You can't just tell them to push and hunker in with that offensive lineman, whichever offensive tackle, guard, whatever it is, and use him to close down that gap. Okay. So again, nose tackle here. Okay. So now he's working that explode technique. Okay. Gets kind of pushed off of it a little bit more, but again, making that back uncomfortable. Okay. To slow down his path, or slow down his speed, okay, and let some other bodies and buddies come and help him out. Okay, so just talking about a little bit of a couple clips on the gap exchange. We're talking about when guys both of our players that you're going to see here get reached, okay. So I believe this one is number 93. So he's playing our nose right now. So he gets reached, I think, with a proper or a very poor step, okay, very lateral step. So this is not a good spot to be, okay? So now what we don't want him to do is think, oh, crap, I got to get on this side and I'll jump back and forth and confuse our middle linebacker who's coming to help on the run. But what he does here is what we want. We want to have him and just run that guy. Now our linebacker comes over the top, scrapes over the top, and makes us right, okay? So again, poor first step puts you in a bad spot, okay? Again, he may have been in a bad spot too, even with a good first step, but then he had no chance to try and steer himself into the proper spot. What he did after being cut off is what, is good, right? We want him to stay there, okay? And then our linebackers will make us right. Again, this one's with 97 and 40, okay? So he's here again, poor first step, okay? Gets him hooked or gets him reached, okay? So now he's reached. Now number 40, our linebacker reads that, okay? And they just do a simple gap exchange, right? This is something that we need to praise a little bit more. Is it great that he got reached? No, not at all. Is it great that he took improper step? No. But what he did here is what we want him to do. Stay there, right? So these guys know that are coming to help can make us right, okay? So anyway, that's just a couple of clips on what we were talking about with a gap exchange. And then again, we're working double teams here again, okay? Number 93, okay? So he's here playing, you can't really see him, he's covered up by the tailback, but you can kind of see him get a double from the guard and tackle, and he's got his hips turned already, trying to occupy both guys. So that's what we want our guys to do, okay? And he's doing a pretty good job. Frees up our defensive end, okay, who, I mean, if this slot back wants to block, I would like to see a little bit more aggression on him, okay? Which, I mean, is it's not bad. He's playing hands first level, eye second level, and then falls off, block destructs, makes a tackle, right? This side view, we don't need to watch. It's not very good. And then this one is number 97. So this is where we want him to step to skinny, rip to square, right? So he gets in a good spot and just rip through, and he would actually split this double team here. So he's playing, I think he's playing, what's he got? One tech here, okay? So he's right there and just rip to skinny, or sorry, rip to square from there. Okay, I'm just gonna back it up a little bit. I don't wanna go all the way back. So he's here, okay? Right here again. So now he gets into that pressure cue, right? All the attention's there. Now he's starting to turn his hips, but then he sees the ball carrier's the ball's already been handed off. So now he just needs to rip through here, rip to square, and then get in on the tackle. Okay? So working double teams is really important. All your focus and time and energy go to your visual cue. You don't flip hips to heat until you feel that pressure cue. All right, so talking about some pullers stuff here quickly. Just a couple clips left here, guys. So we are looking at number 93's crossing face. Okay, so he is right here. He's responsible for the weak A gap right now. Okay, so he's going to have that center kind of fold. Okay, so now he's actually in the strong A gap right now. Okay, which is responsible for or accounted for by our MAC. So you can tell him to play that and then have your linebacker just correct him. Okay, or if you have a player that's really smart and understands that concept, you can play crossing the face and into his proper gap. Okay, so center folds, he's in the wrong gap, cross his face, he's now in the right gap again, showing color, and then our MAC is in his proper gap and right into the tackle. Okay, so we're talking about, you know, crossing the face with the puller if your gap is moving. Okay, so here is, so if we go back, so B gap, A gap, A gap, B gap, and then C gap on the outside over here. Okay. And then again, he was really good at this last year. Okay. So same kind of thing, just a quick little center fold. Okay. Or sorry, a guard fold. Okay. So he cross face again. So now he realizes and then crosses face again to make a tackle, playing that once the ball is declared where he's going, he crossed face twice to make a tackle. Okay. So it's something that's, takes a lot of skill to do that, to be able to recognize that. And that's all he asked to do last year with pullers was to cross face. Again, so that's just the end cut or the side cut. So we're talking about how do you take on a puller with our edge guys. So this one's going to be, so he's shocking the puller here. Okay, so number 95. Okay, so this is one way we wanted him to wrong arm and spill it last year. But we kind of ended up telling him, as long as you stop that puller is what we kind of want. So he stops him right here. Okay, we don't want to just let this offensive lineman take us out. Okay, so he shocks him, and now he's playing and gets in on the tackle again. Okay, so that was one way we were okay with our guys playing the pullers last year. I mean, we wanted this guy the puller to be stopped. Okay, right, and he still didn't get, and he was able to take part in the play as well and make a tackle. This is, again, he chose to shock a lot of the times. This one might be a better cut up, but he's over here. Okay, he's going to shock this pulling. What is he? This is a fullback here. Okay, so we want him, again, inside shoulder. Okay, lower it right into that puller, stop him in his tracks. Don't spin, obviously. We don't like that part of it. Okay, everything was really good up until he decides to do that, right? We don't want that. Okay, we can't do anything with that. But we want to be able to shock him. Okay, and again, we can still work that shock technique and get our hands and press that guy off. Okay. And then here's an example of a guy wrong arming him. We'll watch it from our number 59. So he'd be our rush here. Okay. Again, he's going to get a down block. Okay, and he's going to wrong arm this guy and then eventually affect the play. Let's go to the end right here. Okay, so he's right here. Okay, again, lining him up a little bit tighter, so if he does get that down block, you know, it's closer to travel to, it's not as far to travel to get to those hips. Okay, so now he's got his eyes down the heel line looking for pullers, right? He got that down block. I can't tell if that's his hand trying to get in the way of that guy. Maybe a little bit, he tries, okay? But he's now wrong arming the center who's pulling around, okay? If we were being picky, okay, being greedy, okay, he stops that puller, okay? Keep your feet, okay, and rip to and then rip to vertical here and show your color. So he started to get there, okay, but again, he affected the running back, okay, his path and where he wanted to go, but you know, it's still a pretty good job of getting up the field and attacking that puller. Okay, 2 clips left, cut blocks. So again, not sure what the cut block rule is in high school, but I mean, in junior and post-secondary, you still got to be able to defend it, right? And the only way to defend that is with good hands, okay? So number 93 here, playing our 1 tech. No, he's playing our 3 tech to the weak side of the field, okay? The Hilltops love to cut, okay? So he gets his hands on, okay? Doesn't even, you know, I think he defeated it with one hand. So, you know, that's a really, really good job of him being aware of what he's seeing, okay? And then reacting with proper technique. Okay? You want to kind of help those guys gently to the ground when they try to cut you like that. And then I think this is the last clip here. Again, it's number 93 again. He was really good at defeating that cut block. Okay, so he's coming down here. This one got him a little bit more, but he didn't lose his feet. He kept his footing, okay? And he was able to, again, to get in on the tackle, right? So best way to defend a cut block, get your hands on, right? Get your hands on, get your feet out of the way, okay? So that's back to the top. That's everything I got, Dave.
That's fantastic, Coach McMahon. Appreciate you taking the time to do that. Coaches, if you have any questions, get them into the chat or send them to me privately here before we wrap up. But Coach McMahon, I want to thank you for your time. And just a reminder to check out the YouTube page, share that with your coaches. This great presentation is going to be on there. And if you need to refer back to it, it'll be available for you. Okay. If you want to get involved and be a presenter, get in contact with me. My email is in the chat, and we'd love to have you. Or if you have a suggestion or a request for a topic or a speaker that you would like to see, that'd be fantastic too. You can hit me up for that. Tomorrow night we'll be back here with Miguel Revelez. He is the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach with Laverne University in California, and he's a longtime special team coach, including the special teams assistant at Cal. So he'll be talking punt return, 3 phases of drills in punt return tomorrow. I'm just taking one last look here for questions, Coach McMahon. And I don't see any at the time. So we are here at RMF, so I do want to give a shout out to RMF for allowing us to use their facilities here, especially on a gorgeous night tonight with the field in the background. So thank you to Coach Hall for letting us come in here to RMF. And to everybody else, we'll see you back here tomorrow night. Coach, great job. Thank you.